Yo, what's up, Breezy?
That was so like serious, like interrogated. Like I felt like some PTSD from some bad decisions I made as a wee lad. GM, dude, what's happening?
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Episode 6.
Yeah, episode
Episode
6.
6. We're talking to Manic, the one and only Manic Dystopia. He is a OG MFer that we've met a long, long time ago. Digital artist, that's his like main game. We met him collecting PFPs. He's what's really interesting about Manic is that we got to watch him and his like kind of his rise, and we're still watching his career. But when you and I met him over a year ago, I mean, Manic, I remember the first thing he expressed to us was that he was like upset because he couldn't get sales. He couldn't generate traction as an artist in the MFer community. And now he's being collected by legends like Xcopy just casually during bear markets, right? So talking to this guy, just being around this guy has been so fun to watch. It's like kind of seeing a movie firsthand, like first row. And, as you'll see in this episode, he's a very, shall we say, eccentric personality. And it just makes for a great, conversation. So what about you? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I just got so much more depth in terms of like the background of his art, just knowing who he is, his philosophy on art, his philosophy on life and NFTs. And I think the number one thing you'll really see is just his true authenticity when it comes to his art. He's always trying to like deliver a pure message that he feels and expresses. And you gotta love it. Like it makes you, at least for me, it makes me appreciate the art that much more.
Yeah, no, I think that's very well said. I think people are going to definitely love this episode and love Manic and appreciate him, that much more. So without further ado, we'll hop right in, and I hope you guys enjoy episode 6. Why Manic? You came in, just made a Twitter. Why Manic?
It's a good question. Before that, my music name was Maniac, and I produced music. I worked with a lot of really big artists, created music, working with them, and then I even have my own personal music and whatnot. And
is this stuff that we could find, or?
Yeah, it's there's stuff on SoundCloud,
What's it called?
There's some other. Now I rebranded it to Manic Dystopia on SoundCloud.
Okay. What kind of music is it?
So that's the thing. It's sort of like, I have a wide style of music that I like. I like everything from punk to rock to rap, hip hop. I mean, lo-fi, and you fucking name it. I love music, and I would make it all. So, and I would go fucking hard, you know what I mean? So it was something similar to my art too. I didn't really want to, I like to paint. I draw, spray paint, I'll build shit, sculptures. I mean, whatever. There's really not a lot of rules when it comes to art, or whether it's music, or whether it's painting or fucking scribbling or whatever. There's not a lot of rules I like to live by. And I think what really attracted me, I guess we'll talk about that, but I think just with art, that's why I love art so much, because there's so many rules in life that we have to like sort of conform to and stick to. You go to school, you have to do this, you have to do that. There's all these have tos. And if you don't, then there's this and there's that. And so the cool thing with art, there's, in my opinion, there's no rules. There's zero rules. You can really make up your own fucking rules or set your own limitations to your own art. And so so everything I've approached, whether it's been business or art or whatever, I've always sort of had that approach where I don't get fucking pigeonholed, where because otherwise I just really get fucking bored. Like I had a company, I had a startup with my friend. We were profitable after 90 days, making I mean, it's stupid fucking money, but I was so bored for the next year and a half. I created 2 other companies because I was just bored, as fuck. And so it's like, it's everything I've done in my life. I get bored easily, or not bored, but I want to try and experiment and try new things, and and approach it without the rules that, and a lot of the times there's been really great success from that, and other times you fail fast and you learn. You know what I mean? Like you learn what you like and what you don't like. You know what I mean? Or you get the answer quicker. And I think a lot of that has to do with sort of checking your ego at the door and like not really giving a fuck what people think or say, or you know what I mean? It's like going with your own conviction.
I'm actually curious, like, to learn more about like the very first piece you ever minted and what it was, and like what did you have, like a library of art you've already created and you're like, all right, let me just pick something that I really like that I'm gonna mint, or what was kind of the very first piece you ever minted?
The very first
Yeah.
piece is actually called Kill Your NFT. And it was almost kind of, I guess you could look at it where it almost came out of frustration. I got wrecked losing a bunch of money, and I was like, kill your, like almost like kill it, like murder your NFT. And that was my first like official Manic piece. I think that was like late September 21.
Interesting. Was it on Foundation or where did you mint it?
It's actually on a shared OpenSea contract.
Wow.
It's you can look it up.
I'm gonna take a look.
It's actually glitch, and it's like
Kill your
1,000 frames a second or some bullshit. It'll hurt your eyes, but it's
let me look. I want to see it. Oldest created. Kill your NFT. Wow. Damn. So it was like basically like you were just so frustrated after like experimenting in the space, getting rugged, and then you're like, fucking just kill it.
Yeah, I guess that's what sort of came out. And as far as digital art goes, like I messed with like putting heads and like basically making memes. Like I've been making memes, shit memes for fucking forever, really. But you know what I mean? But to post, to fucking troll with or whatever. But I never really fucked with digital art. Growing up, we used to spray on walls. You know what I mean? I was big into that in the early 2000s, and Venice and Los Angeles. I was in a bunch of different writing crews and art crews and all over town. And obviously that you either stay in that lane, but a lot of the people that I was doing it with at the time, they started to do more fuck. It just wasn't where I wanted to end up. It started to get weird after a period of time, where the message sort of got lost of why we were doing it, and it turned into something else that I'm not really into.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I guess I just wanted more, than sort of. I mean, it started to lead into like, all my some of my friends started like ODing, and it just turned into a different scene that I think that was just not. I mean, I guess maybe I just got older. Fuck. It's like you got to make a decision, at a certain point.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that happens a lot with like, I don't know, like even just like I remember growing up kind of like around like Long Beach and stuff like that. And it's just like, different skater crews or,
Yeah, exactly.
Punk kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I pushed it like to the point of where I couldn't push it anymore as far as time goes, so it just evolved where I started doing graphic design and started working more with the, being hired for art but within companies, and then started my own and shit. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I guess with that, like, do you still feel frustrated with the space today? Like, I think, obviously your first piece was minted like a while ago, but you're still here, you're still making art, you're still connecting with the community, you're still talking with us. Do you still feel that level of frustration, or do you feel a little more optimistic, or how do you feel about the NFT art space, the crypto art space right now?
that's a loaded fucking question. I mean, I would say it's divisible within so many sectors of the space, right? From collectors to artists to gatekeepers to, it's a broad question. I mean, I think art in general has like made tremendous strides within the space since 21. I mean, obviously 21, we're coming into a bear. We were just finishing our bull. And PFPs, it was all about PFPs. And when we kind of got heavy into a bear, I want to say May, June of 22, it got, especially like June, July, and going forward, art was really prevalent. And a lot of great art was created, during that time. And I thought it was actually a really exciting time because it was so shitty, but it was so fun within that time. I feel like everyone really kind of, those that were left, like KML and Breezy. I mean, you guys were there, and you guys were there. I think KML, I think you popped into my 24-hour space that I held when we were going down to 900 to see what's up. And I mean, I don't know. I think the vibe then was just like, if you can make it during that time and sort of thrive in that period, then, I mean, at 890, ETH, I mean, we weren't around when it was $200 or, $100 ETH, but still is pretty fucking damn low. So, I mean, I think the vibe overall is cool. I mean, I think there's definitely issues within the space and there's definitely fucking issues in the space. I mean, I think I'm at the point today where I went through a period where I really did care a lot, and I think today I'm to a point where I've seen so many people come and go, from collectors to artists to everything, where I'm just really staying in my lane and just creating, like, really from a place of, I don't know, the most real place that I could create from. And if you fuck with it, cool. If you don't, oh well. But for me, it's more about having sort of a diary on chain of events that I'm dealing with, or that, whether I'm dealing with it or I'm sort of taking note of social commentary of it. Yeah.
When was the first time, like, what was the first sale or first project or whatever that you had where you felt like you were gaining some traction?
Cool question. I think as an artist, you sort of see this in, like, it's definitely a wave effect. Wave effect meaning there's peaks and valleys, and you're going to see this as an artist. You'll see it multiple times, and there's different levels of it. I mean, the first time I made my sale, right? That was the first time, right? And then, you might not make your next sale for a while, but then you do a new project and a couple people met, and then there's another valley. And so there's these peaks and valleys I've experienced so many times within the space. But I think the most sort of notable ones for me that sort of stick out in my head are like Venice 99 is a collection. It was the second airdrop collection on chain, like after Jake the Degen, to sort of like have a token where if you own that token, you're able to get airdrops. And that collection went fucking nuts. I mean, at least for me, like in my opinion, like as a sort of single artist, not a big PFP sort of project. I think as of today, there's like, I don't know, 320 ETH traded, all free art that was airdropped to collectors. But again, it's like, I think at the highest point, the token was traded for like 4 ETH. I thought that was fucking great. But that sort of model today is dead. At least, from the optics that I have on it, because that model is sort of really dependent on royalties. So like here it is, 320 ETH traded, right? Thank God the majority of that I was able to collect royalties on. But today, with sort of OpenSea's stance and where everything is, it's like the question for a lot of these artists who, have these airdrop tokens that were airdropping art. I talked to a lot of them today, and they're not really interested in dropping free art when they could just do a paid edition or one-to-one with that art. So it's really changed a lot of the, mechanics and dynamics with artists and sort of drops in general.
I've asked this question before, and it seems like we're getting in that direction. But when do you start to blend the art and business, right? So you've already talked about how like this model is dead, but you still have all these collectors who bought on the premise that they're going to get airdropped art. I don't know if you personally feel like you don't want to give free art away anymore, but I don't think it's hard to imagine why you would feel that way. And, when do you start to like put the business model, hat on and start to, look from that perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely, looked at it from that perspective. I mean, it's not the only collection. The other collection is the Flash Fiction sort of meme burn cards. Where now there's a surcharge to make a burn, right? With Manifold, and that sort
I
of
didn't know
meta
that. What's the surcharge?
It's $1 a burn.
That
Manifold charges collectors. All right, so you pay your gas, you pay your burn, and yeah. So yeah, and I think to answer your question, Reezy, I mean, I think it comes down to sort of scratching my head thinking about the best way to either trade art for the main token, whether it's I'm just throwing out some ideas that pass through my head, which is like maybe whatever the floor price is on my one-to-ones versus the floor price on the token, maybe 3 tokens for a one-to-one, or to be able to burn those and sort of get rid of them. Or I say fuck it, and I drop one every couple months, and I just keep dropping free art for forever, but maybe the frequency is just way fucking less.
Gotcha.
But then as an artist, it's like you're increasing your supply without any sort of long-term benefits. So yeah, it's definitely it's a tricky thing to navigate right now.
Yeah, I think the simple solution is like buy them back and burn them, right? But that's it's hard. I mean, expensive.
I think right now it's like there's 100 tokens. The cheapest one right now, someone just put it down to 0.55. It's like 55 ETH.
Yeah.
I don't have 55 ETH. Yeah.
Right.
So.
I mean, to be honest, like I feel like if an artist ever was like, yeah, that's no more people aren't respecting royalty, so I'm not going to airdrop any more art. I think that's like a totally valid and fair move. I don't know. Artists can do whatever the fuck they want, in my opinion.
I mean, listen, I'm 100% with that, and it's. I think if nothing changed, I would still be like proactively dropping art. I haven't dropped art in that collection in like 2 months. Ever since that change happened, really. So, and some artists that I know have just abandoned the entire fucking idea. Just like, oh, I'm done. But I mean,
Yeah.
but at the same point, it's like I do think about my collectors. I do
Yeah.
think about sort of stuff that I said, like, but there wasn't like, oh, but that's only if I'm getting royalties. I mean, I really didn't see that. I didn't see it coming the way it did, I should say. I mean, Blur kind of came out of nowhere and put pressure on OpenSea, and then instead of OpenSea coming up with, a new solution, which they said they were going to do. They said if they're going to grandfather in all the contracts, before the first of the year, and so everyone that I know minted 4 contracts to be grandfathered in. And then, 2 months later in February, OpenSea was like, well, there's no more grandfathering in. Like, we're just going to zero everywhere. And so it's like, imagine, 20, 30% of your income is just gone. Sometimes even 50% of your income's gone. Yeah, I'm not going to lie about it. I mean, the royalty situation is definitely difficult. I mean, it's 100%. And artists don't want to go out there and really talk about it because I think that it's like, I don't know. I don't think they want to talk about it. I don't think anyone really wants to address it head on.
Money seems to be a hot topic for artists. Like, it seems like a lot of artists, in my experience, like, they don't really like the financial part of it. They don't really like talking about it. Do you find that to be true, Manic?
They don't like the financial part?
Yeah, like they don't really like talking about the prices of their work and, trying to ask people for more money and stuff.
Nah,
you don't think so?
Every artist that I know, no, that's 100% bullshit. Every artist that I know has a value of their work. They know what their floors are. They know what their
value sure, they know what it is. Yeah. But they might not
talk
like
about it.
Right.
Yeah. Because they don't want to piss off a collector that might feel the opposition. I mean, that's all it is. And like myself, I haven't, I made a piece. So instead of talking about it and creating a fucking thread about it, I created a piece that really captures my feeling on it. And I sold on Super Rare. It's called Bloody Seas. It was a sort of an homage to X Copy's all-time high in the city piece. And that piece, I think it's for sale now for 41 ETH. I sold it. It was my lowest one-to-one sale in like 2 years or a year and a half. It sold for 0.4, which was like a public sort of a public reset of my one-to-one floor, which I couldn't believe it sold for that low, but I accepted it and fucking moved on and kept creating. But that piece really embodies the, sort of my feeling on the whole situation. So I don't have to really say more about it other than that piece.
Okay, I want to go down this rabbit hole. So do you feel this to be much just more effective for you, like to create work that speaks for how you feel instead 100%. Of talking about it? Yeah,
100%. Yeah, because it's a form of action and it's a form of me putting my words into the art. And I think as an artist, that's, if I don't do that, it's like, it's really, then I really can't say it all. I mean, I feel like if I spend time on a piece, I could really put it all there into a piece and leave it there. And then what's really cool is I could actually, instead of having it on a centralized server, like, or, on Twitter, right? I could create it on the blockchain. I could sort of leave that memory of that feeling on the blockchain. And that's what, that's, that's why I fucking love this shit, is the ability to do that. Because if I go out there and and put a fucking thread out. Like I'm already dyslexic as it is, and to go out there and create a thread and bitch and complain and moan about it, you know, what's it going to accomplish?
Hmm.
You know, so I could put it into a piece of art, and I've done that a lot. I mean, even when 6ix9ine came with with Sartoshi, when his drop came, I created a piece called I forgot the name of it, but it's the one with the dude dancing on the. I don't even know the guy's name. It's the one with the guy dancing. You know.
Is it Zeb Ross?
Zebras,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I created that piece to celebrate the drop of 6ix9ine, and then Sartoshi bounced, and I was like, ugh. But like that was still more of a celebration of that drop, that sort of commenced that drop. So yeah, I mean, I like to put a lot of my my thoughts, feelings, or whatever I want to say into the art.
So is it safe to say then that there's like a draft folder of like a graveyard of Manic's feelings that just never made it fully on chain?
No, not really. It all goes on chain.
Really? There's never like, because like I'll do the same thing, but with like tweets or something, right? But then I'm like, I shouldn't tweet that. You never have that feeling?
Yeah. I mean, I would probably say there's a handful of pieces that, I could distinctly remember that I haven't minted because I was kind of like, it's maybe too much. But from, a lot of the shit's been, shit that I've struggled with, whether it's depression or fucking anxiety or, shit, there's a list of shit, you know what I mean? Or insomnia or anything within the space. I put it out there and yeah.
I kind of want to talk about a specific piece, and I also want to talk about the process of creating them. But like, I just saw that you minted a piece kind of like a couple weeks ago, April 8th, called NFTs, and the description is "Nothing feels the same," which is like, just seeing the headline, I didn't realize like how deep that description is. And then the overall image is like this glitch art of kind of this guy in the shadows, and it's like kind of blue and black, kind of has like a darker vibe. Like, I think that kind of probably sums up a lot about your current feelings towards the space potentially. Like, what's the thought process behind that piece in particular? And then what in general is like your artist process? Like, what's the inspiration? Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how does the process of creation begin?
Yeah, thanks, man. Really, I mean, shit. I mean, listen, it all starts on a drawing pad, and then from there, it goes into colors, and from there, it kind of goes into however I want to animate it. You know what I mean? And I don't consciously think about it, if that makes sense, right? Like I don't think, okay, I'm gonna draw a skull here, or I'm gonna make this a TV, or I'm gonna open this up. It's really hard to explain. It's just kind of comes together, and I don't know what it is yet until I'm done with it, or like I don't have a name for it or a description until I'm sort of done with it, and I sit with it and listen to I sit with it, for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Like it just, you know what I mean? So I think it sounds, I don't know, it probably sounds fucking corny, but like I don't consciously think about it. When it comes to those types of pieces, if I'm making a 3D piece, it's a different sort of process or flow or whatever. But with those sort of pieces that I've been doing recently, it's more of going back to the way I used to create art, I should say, where I really didn't care, no one knew me, type of feeling. And I think the positive with it is that it's going to be a lot more raw, and I think the potential negative side of it is it's very like sort of exposes, it's sort of like I'm definitely putting myself out there. But I mean,
So you might have touched on this a little bit, but why are you going back to the basics? You feel like what's necessary to head back?
So after that piece, that Bloody Seas piece sold for 0.4, that was sort of the mark for me personally, where I was like, I'm just like, I almost felt at that point, not like, oh, I'm like done as an artist, but it was like it was a very public sort of sale. Number one, it was, it's like an X Copy homage. I mean, X Copy even made a bid on the piece. You know what I mean? And it sold for, I mean, extremely low. And so I kind of felt like, I don't know. I think maybe I could have been down about it, and I just was kind of like, fuck it all, and then just went back to the basics.
So I kind of talked to Chromewood about this, like in our interview with him. But as an artist, like, okay, so speaking from some kid who was below average at sports, I can talk about like that perspective. When you play sports, like you want to be the best, right? Like everybody dreams of like winning the World Series or the NBA Finals or something like that. What's it like for an artist? Like, is there some pinnacle? Is it getting your work in the MoMA, the Louvre, or or is it just subsisting on selling your own art from your house? Like, what's the dream? What's the GOAT status?
I mean, what's the GOAT status, or what's the dream? Or the dream is I'm living the dream. The dream is to be able to feed my family and myself and take care of myself through my art. It's not to be on MoMA. It's not to be in some museum. It's the ability to be able to create freely, in a decentralized fashion, where I could keep my, name anonymous, and I could mint my art somewhere that is encrypted and decentralized, and make income off that and live off that. And with royalties before, it was like, you're building this sort of, almost like this succession of art, and then without it, it's like you're looking at your primary more versus, what you sort of have built. So I don't know. I kind of, I think to answer your question directly, I believe like I'm living the fucking dream. I feel like I'm already goated in my own way. I don't look at myself and compare myself to the next dope artist, like all my friends, like Jack NFT or Jake or X Copy, or like all these artists who are sick. Like, I don't look at my art and compare it to theirs, or like I feel like everyone's in their own lane. Everyone's doing their own thing. Like, if you're an artist, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to really anyone else, because you're doing your own. I mean, if you're creating art nonstop and full time, and this is what you do for a living, you have to do it from the place that's like you. Because if you're not, it's what the fuck's the point?
Right. And I like that answer, that you're goated in your own view, and I would agree with that. Especially if your like goal is to feed your family and stuff. I'd say, yeah, you're doing that. But the reason I ask is because you express that, like, you seem to have this like great self-awareness, and you expressed that when you said that you had this public sale that you felt this wasn't as high as it should have been. That kind of drove you to reconsider and go back to your basics. So to me, it seems like you're going for something, you're chasing something. And so, like, what's Manic's lane that you're chasing in, Is it just to like every sale has to be higher than the last? Is it as simple as that?
That's a great question, because that's a really good question. I think what I'm chasing is I think let me just reiterate. So the Cinnamon sold for point 0.4 as of
Hmm.
1. Um, it wasn't that I was like it wasn't like I was grateful for it selling. It actually sold to a fucking massive OG collector that used to collect like all the legends from 2018. Like the guy is a fucking legendary collector. So I'm stoked it went to him, and I'm fully grateful for that. I think after that sale, I I went to go. I don't know. I think I just when I say I went back to the basics, I sort of I stopped I stopped something inside of myself from maybe carrying what my sales were, because essentially it was very reckless, I should say. It was very sort of reckless and very risky. And so but I don't know, I think that's what fucking drives me. I don't know. But I think what I'm chasing is, as far as every sale being bigger than the last, not necessarily. I think I'm chasing for me to create the truest art that I could create within real time, and for people to fuck with it. But without compromising um, me making art for other people.
Yeah, that makes
If that
sense to
makes
me.
sense.
So it's not so much like that the floor, it's not so much that it sold for so low. It was more that like how you felt about it. And then you were like, nah, fuck that. I don't want to fucking care about it. I just want to make art that I feels true to me. I'm going to take it back to the basics. Is that kind of like it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
dope. And then it's like crazy because like a month later, X Copy collected Killbox,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, man. That was it was fucking crazy, because after Bloody Seas, I minted 2 other pieces. I put a reserve for point 0.4 because why? My floors were set to point 0.4, so I do 2 other pieces. And then the same guy who bought Bloody Seas, he put a bid and no one else bid on it, and those fucking went to him. So he had 3 now.
Damn.
I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. So I keep staying in this mode. This And by the way, I was listening to the same song, which I won't tell you. I was listening to the same song for on loop during this entire time for like a week. Swear to God, the same
Damn.
song. Yeah, it was nuts. But I make this other piece. When I made Killbox, I minted it. I don't know, like maybe 1 in the morning or midnight. And I went to bed. I didn't shill it. I didn't tweet it or anything. I just minted it, and then I went to bed. And then I woke up the next morning, and I have an offer in from um, Sartoshi on my other piece on Super Rare, and I have an offer from X Copy on that piece that I just minted the night before, and that was like, what the fuck is going on? And that was probably the best like highlight of my time in the space. And so, just for me personally, I mean, just that was pretty incredible. And so, like, I accepted both offers before I even tweeted about it, because I wanted my art in both of those guys' vaults. And so, but yeah, it was pretty incredible for sure. And I mean, Sartoshi is massive OG, and I've talked with him over the last year, or when he was around more, and the fact that he collected that was huge. And then X Copy, obviously, legend, that was insane. And so I think definitely felt something at that point where it was like, I reached out to him, I don't know, maybe a week later, and I was like, yo, thanks for collecting. He was happy with his piece, he said. So it just made me kind of feel like maybe that place I went to, or the place that I've been in is where it's, you know, maybe more raw, or that place of I don't know, that place I've been in is you know, motherfuckers are taking notice of that, or it talks to them, it speaks to them. So yeah, man, I think that was definitely a career historic moment for me. You know?
That's dope.
And yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of really love the story of like, it just seemed like the perfect time. Like, you know what I mean? Like you were just like kind of like the Bloody Seas piece happened, and then you kind of like were in this specific mode. And then it's just like to have like two like legendary collectors like come in and kind of like, I don't know. It just, there's a really dope story arc to that, I think.
Yeah, man. And I even feel like the two pieces before the X copy piece was sort of me leading up to that, like trying to get back, or not even get back, but like to get back to that place of the feeling that I felt when I started.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed, I don't know if this is normal, but like, is it normal to like mint a piece now and then just like don't set it up for auction, just like wait for offers to kind of come in? Like, that's one thing that I don't know if that's like a new thing, but I've just been noticing that.
On Super Rare, I think
Yeah.
historically it's sort of been like that, where
Okay.
people are like, "Hey, I'm open for offers," and people throw up offers, and then they're accepted or not. I think that's really a Super Rare thing. I'm not even sure.
Got it. Yeah, sorry, I was just like curious because like I haven't really collected a lot on Super Rare because it's pretty pricey. But I just noticed, I'm like, damn, there's like some dope stuff minted, and then it's like, yeah, it's like, oh shit, I guess I just have to put it in an offer and see if I get lucky, kind of thing.
Yeah, man. So that's sort of, I don't know. I think that's where I'm currently at. Is I'm sort of in this place where currently where I've switched up the song, by the way, and
It's not the same song over and over on repeat.
not the same song on repeat, but I've switched it up to a place of like of sort of like within that sort of realm, and I'm stoked about it. You know, I'm really happy about it, and super grateful. And I'm just gonna just keep creating fucking art, you know, and just remembering that sort of feeling.
You said you're not going to tell us the song you were listening to?
I can't. Nah, that's one
Okay.
thing I can't do.
Why do you want to stay anonymous?
Why not? If I have the ability to.
So it's just a choice. It's not like you're like,
yeah, it's not like
gotcha.
I'm not running from the law or anything.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. I'm not asking from a place of like, oh, shame on you. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool option. Yeah. How serious do you take it though? Like, is there a point where you'd like to fuse the two? Like you're real person?
Not really. Not really. It's funny though, because my girl, you know, we've been together a long time. We've been together forever, and she's like, Manic is actually who you were the entire time, but you're like full. You know what I mean? She's like, this all, or you know, this alias or whatever is like who you actually, you know, have been. Which is
She never thought it was weird that you had like an alter ego.
I mean, no. But even as an artist growing up and on the streets, I mean, you still don't want anyone to know who you are, you know? And it's I mean, you have your name that you go by or the crew that you're with, but you don't, you're not out there giving your real name and whatnot.
Right. What do you think about the space, like philosophically, Manic? Like, is this really the next Renaissance, or are we just like collecting weird shit on the internet? This is the Beanie Babies, you know, stuff like that. Let's go a level deeper.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an art renaissance, right? I think as far as the art goes, I feel like I always said this, where I feel like the blockchain is, or especially the ETH smart contract is a great. I think art is a great use case for one of the first use cases, to be able to transfer data, metadata, and files and image files over the blockchain through transaction. And so I think with art art, fashion, and music is always sort of first, right? It's culture. I feel like it's a great use case for the blockchain, and I really do feel like it is a renaissance in it. And in fact, there's pieces that have been sold for millions and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and artists that have come out of the space that are now being featured in traditional art museums. So there's that component. The other component I look at is more the meme component, which is really the images of the internet, the fucking memes, right? And I think if you look at projects, and if your quote unquote like NFT projects, I feel like, that's why when I saw the MFers on day one, I minted on the second day, like December 17th or 18th. I think I minted, or I bought an MFer. And the MFers are fucking memes, and the community is a vibe, and has been. And I feel like any sort of meme project is gonna make it. If it's something that could be, yeah.
No, and I think this is a great point. I found that profile pictures benefit from that meme status a bit more, because there's like this shitcoin with JPEGs idea, and like the financialization of it all is sort of accepted in that idea. It's like a package. Art, though, doesn't seem to have yet benefited quite the same way. And it's almost like if it ever gets that meme status, it rockets too quickly, or something like that. Like it's hard to get that same mimetic wave. So like, do you think they're different?
Yeah, 100%. Just my opinion. I look at, just, if you look at the entire ecosystem of NFTs, right, or just how, whatever fucking people want to call it. I look at there's an art side and there's a PFP side to it. It's the way I look at it. And your PFP collectors have been historical, like you said. A lot of them are shitcoin flippers or degens or whatnot. A lot of the degens came into art when when the bear was heavy with open editions and whatnot, degen flipping open editions. Now some of them have left, some of them are back and doing their PFP flipping. So I really do look at them as two separate sort of things. But what I believe is that the PFPs in general, I feel like the ones that are actually fucking memes, or the ones that have a community that is not so stricken by Web 2, are gonna fucking make it. So that's really why I don't know the percentage, I'm just throwing it out there, like 98% of fucking projects go to zero. Because of that, I think a lot of artists in the space capture sort of the historical relevance of the space by documenting with their art, and I feel like a lot of that art is valued and will continually be valued. Because I do believe that art is truly one of the first use cases for the Ethereum smart contract. Just based upon provenance and just that alone is extremely strong.
One thing I noticed, like in some of your notes, where you mentioned physical art. So like, are you starting to experiment more with that? Like I'm starting to see more artists kind of play both digital and physical over time.
Yeah, I have a collection called back up here. I have a collection called Physical Leisure, and it's
Whoa, it's dope.
yeah. So thanks, man. So I created a manifold concept called Physical Leisure, where I take pictures of artwork and I'll mint it, and then there's an option that when someone buys one of those NFTs, they have the option to claim the physical, which all that means is I just send them the actual physical, and once I do, then I update the metadata to claim.
Mm.
So if someone else buys that, they know that it's already been claimed.
That's cool.
And then on the back of the physicals, I write the transactional hash for the mint and so forth. Yeah.
I guess kind of switching gears a bit. What's your take on like kind of like collectors, gatekeepers? Like, what's your thoughts on like, the Cosimo Medici? It's like you get blessed by certain collectors. It's like, oh, now you're like officially in the cabal of like, you're basically like anointed as like legit, quote unquote, legit artist, or Sotheby's or Christie's, whatever. What's kind of like your take on that whole scene? Like, are you curious about it, or is that a thing?
Listen, everyone likes to be told what to do, what's good, what's not good, right? Everyone likes to be influenced. It's just some people can make up their own minds and determination of what they think is good and what's not good. And so, everyone's different, and I think people just need to make up their own mind of what they like or what speaks to them. If something doesn't fucking talk to you or doesn't make you laugh or have an emotion, then fuck it. When I saw the MFers for the first time, I fucking laughed my ass off. This is fucking hilarious. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
man.
Man.
This is fucking great.
Just want to say thank you again for your time, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. We'll let you know when we want to publish it. Dig the Mask. Excited to see the piece you're going to be working on after this call. And we'll probably see you on Twitter or something, man.